Hey guys, Midnight Strike here, and I managed to pull myself away from my PS4 long enough to give you guys a review of a 2012 album, like I said I've been doing for a really long time, and that is of course the album I keep bringing up, Apocalyptic Love by Slash, the guitarist from X Guns N' Roses fame, as well as the only guitarist that can make Fergie sound good. Now that last part was just a joke, but to be honest, Beautiful Dangerous with Slash and Fergie is an epic song, although a bit manufactured in the technical department with all the effects thrown in there, and it's very, very computerized. It is a very good song at heart. It just sounds a bit industrial. So, on with the review of Apocalyptic Love. Apocalyptic Love came out last year, and unlike the sporadic instances of different styles and genres that Slash kind of compiled with guest vocalists, like Santana did with some of his past work, Slash actually decides to go with one vocalist for this album, and that vocalist is none other than one of my favorite singers of all time, Myles Kennedy, from the band Alter Bridge. Now, this was a very smart move on his part, because Myles Kennedy was honestly my personal favorite singer on Slash's first solo album, which is self-titled and named after Slash, of course. So basically, going into this, I had a lot of expectations. I had high hopes for this album, and I was going to review it right when I started reviewing under the Midnight Strike name, when I switched over from my real name. So, you know, I was going to review this, but I missed the due date by that much. I missed the release date. And back then, I only really wanted to review really, really new stuff to get more views. I was kind of a view whore back then, not really so much like that anymore. As you guys can see, I cover a broad range of topics, so that's kind of a completely different story. That's getting off topic a bit, but anyways, this album, this new album, Apocalyptic Love, is actually more infused in hard rock and more of the 70s style blues elements. There's a lot of different styles on here, albeit not as different as Slash's first self-titled album, but that's probably just because of all the various singers that it imposes, as well as some of just the different styles and the unique aspects of each singer and each band's style that they bring to the table. So Slash is a jack of all trades. He can pretty much do whatever he wants. I mean, and it definitely shows on this release. The melodies are sound, the guitar work is just excellent, the production is very, very sleek, especially for something that gives off a 70s vibe, much like what came out later, which would be Aerosmith's Music from Another Dimension, which I actually did review back in the day, back when it came out. So it kind of reminds me of that a little bit, to be honest. I mean, it just really drives that hard rockish kind of AC/DC, past Aerosmith albums kind of vibe right into home. So to start, Apocalyptic Love begins with the title track, Apocalyptic Love. And of course, this one is a very heavy hitter. It's very kind of a little bit on the frantic side, and it employs a lot of blues elements. And Myles Kennedy sounds absolutely phenomenal in it, as well as the guitar tone of Slash. So basically, like I said, jack of all trades. He can make anything sound good, including Fergie on Beautiful Dangerous. One last thrill, this is another faster one, which is kind of a trend on this album. You're going to find a lot of fast tracks, but there are a few slower ones just to kind of ease in the pace a little bit. Same with Standing in the Sun and You're a Lie, which is the first debut single. So You're a Lie has a pretty epic chorus, I must say, and an awesome bridge, an awesome just kind of a midsection to get you into more of like the solos. It's very bluesy, not so much on the heavy side, but it is very bluesy, and it's more like infused in the realm of hard rock. So let's see, No More Heroes. Gotta say, I really like the calm and mellow intro into this one. It's not necessarily a slower track, more in the mid-tempo range, and of course Myles Kennedy sounds amazing. He's in his prime, guys. It's just awesome. And check out Fortress by Alter Bridge. I know I haven't actually reviewed it, but it's an awesome album. I have heard it. So there is that. I absolutely love Myles Kennedy, and you know, combined with Slash, who is one of my top 5 favorite guitarists of all time, that's just a winning formula. So Halo, this is another one where I absolutely love it. One of my favorite songs on the album. I just love just all the melodies and how they incorporate all the 70s and hard rock, just heavy hitters, basically, into this song. Lyrics are a bit cliche, but, I mean, what can you do, I suppose? We Will Roam, kind of the same thing. I don't know, more heart on the hard rock-ish issue. I don't know, I really like the guitars in this one. I like the rhythm and just how the song flows together. So, We Will Roam is pretty good. Not really one of my favorites, but it's not necessarily on the filler side like the next two songs, Anastasia and Not For Me, which are kind of the slower ones, but Anastasia has a killer intro. That's about the only thing I really like about it. It is the longest song on the album, clocking in at 6 minutes and 7 seconds, so, you know, it kind of drags on a little bit, but I do like the chorus and just the intro into it. Not for me, this one kind of drags on a little bit. Didn't really like it as much as, say, Anastasia, which is the other song I didn't really care for as much as some of the other songs on this album. But other than that, I mean, the only other song I really didn't care for was Far and Away. So Bad Rain, which, you know, bridges the gap in between Not For Me and Far and Away, is actually a very, very good song. I absolutely love it. So another one of my favorites, Bad Rain. And Hard and Fast, of course, which is the other song that carries that same tradition of bridging those gaps. Same thing with the 70s style hard rock vibe. Really like the lyrics in this one, and just, of course, Miles Kennedy's amazing vocal range. It just definitely shines on this song. Let's see, Far and Away, didn't really care for it. Shots Fired, hashtag Shots Fired. Awesome song, really frantic, really fast-paced, and very blues-oriented, and it's just really ingrained in the hard rock style that Aerosmith pretty much pioneered and perfected back in the day, with bands, you know, songs such as Back in the Saddle, Dream On, Mama Kin, especially Kin to Mama Kin. So Carolina, this is a little bit of a slower one. It gets off to a slower start, but quickly gains a little bit of traction. I really like just the tone of this song, and just the melodies that it portrays. Same thing with Crazy Life. It's another frantic one. Really like it. Really like the guitar tone with it. So overall, not a bad album. Not the best album I've heard, because I've heard a lot of 70s rock, and it's like it kind of just blends in with the pack, but it is very good. It's not necessarily generic, but it's nothing compared to some of the other stuff that Slash has been in, like with Guns N' Roses, and even the debut album by Velvet Revolver. So I'm going to give this one probably an 8.5 out of 10. I do like it. I like it better than Slash's solo album, the first self-titled album, because that one was more like just a combination of different ideas and genres that didn't really work too well together. The songs were all good, but the album had no flow. It wasn't consistent like this album was. So this one, like I said, 8.5 out of 10. Absolutely love it. So thanks, guys, for watching. This is Midnight Strike 3625. Keep calm and rock on.